It is a chilly Friday in Johannesburg, but we are about to heat it up because we have the scintillating debut novel by Nadia Cassim, and I'm joined by her right now to discuss what this is all about, okay? A romance in the truest sense of the word, a love story, but an unconventional love story, right? Nadia, welcome to Pagecast. Nadia, first up, let's get the pronunciation straight. I'm a girl from Cape Town. We say samoosa. You say?
Samoosa.
So we are discussing not another Samoosa Run today on Pagecast. Huge congratulations on your debut novel. It has been out for a few weeks. What has the reception been like?
Thank you. And it's such an honor to speak to you, by the way. It's been good. It's been exciting, but nerve-wracking on my side because obviously I've always been somebody who cares more about what the readers think of my book than me as an author, actually. I want people to feel that if they've spent money on my book, they're going to love it. And they're going to enjoy it, and they're going to find something in there that's relatable. So far, reception, like my inboxes, have been positive, and I think it reached the top 10 for exclusive books. So that was already like a surreal moment for me. I was like, what? Did that happen? So I'm really grateful, yes.
Oh, I can completely understand how it hit the top 10. I completely fell in love with Tasneem. She is the female main character in this very modern yet traditional romance. And, you know, she is a very different woman to me. She is in her late 20s. As we would call it, she's a return soldier, as in she has been married previously and she's had to return to her parents' home. She's rebuilding her life. She's rebuilding her confidence after quite a toxic first marriage and some devastating circumstances that also contributed to the end of that marriage. She'd lost her child. Yet she's so different to me, yet she is so relatable. She's vulnerable. She's very focused on learning better, doing better, and growing. Who and what did you draw on in creating Tasneem and making her seem so human?
Myself, I suppose, because I am divorced, so I've been through that situation. I've come from a community that is obviously traditional, fighting against that tradition as a modern Muslim woman. So I could easily place myself in this situation. Although I did not ever go through a Samoosa Run, I've had family and friends who have. So, you know, listening, that's what we do as authors, right? We pick up on the stories of those around us and we make it our own. We sort of put ourselves in that position. And also, I think a lot of Tasneem is observation from just the community in general, how women respond in marriages, how women respond to their environment. So I try to... it's like if you draw from experiences that you are aware of and other people's experiences, or from a sense of knowing, your characters come alive and they become more realistic. So that's what I try to do.
No, I think the specificity of this book is so incredible. And I think, you know, sometimes people say, and it's quite trite, write what you know. But it does take a bit of bravery to write what you know. Because you need to balance certain things. You need to contend with who's going to call me, SMS me, WhatsApp me and say, am I Benny? You know? Did any of your aunties reach out and ask?
No, but something strange really happened in this book. And most of the characters' names are based on family characters' names. So I had to say, guys, listen here, like Fatima, Farouk, Tasneem, there's a Bilal in there. I'm like, they all come from my dad's family. And I was like, guys, I did this so unconsciously, but just know that they are not based on you at all.
Are you sure?
The name. No, I think so. Like the mom, Fatima, she reminds me of my granny who passed. She was that that strict mom,
Yeah.
and how she was with my mother, actually.
Oh, wow.
So I drew on that, and her name was Fatima. So if there is a correlation, it would have to be that's the only one that's as close to name and personality in book form, is my granny. But with the most love and respect to her, And Tasneem is, like I said, loosely based on me and how I would have approached things. Aadil, I would say, yes, maybe there was an Aadil I knew once upon a time. A character, not the name, but the character.
Okay.
Look and feel, and 1 foot out the door, 1 foot in the door, that sort of thing. So, yeah, but I wouldn't say any of them is exactly somebody that I know,
So let's talk about that community family reaction and reception. Again, this is very specific. This is, I could feel it, I could smell it, I could taste it. This is Pretoria, this is Johannesburg. These are places I've been to, places I've experienced, food we've eaten, right? From a community perspective, how are people within the Muslim community in Gauteng, what are they saying about the book? What have you heard?
So a lot of the responses that I have had are from Muslim people, and it's been surprising. I was kind of expecting this backlash.
Oh, okay.
In a sense that, I'm exposing my community in a certain way that they are not necessarily used to and to some extent comfortable with. And there is a sense that I have, my sixth sense, so to speak, that some people are keeping quiet. Because either they're too afraid to come at me and say, we're not happy with what you've said, but I can sense it and I can in the interactions. But a lot of other people have been surprisingly so accepting. And I think it's because they can see themselves in these characters because it's based in a more modern context. And like you said, it's places we are familiar with. And I don't think, as far as I can recall, that there is a novel out there that really talks about the now with my community. There's a lot of novels that explores the past.
Yes.
But it is very important for me to root it in the now.
Yes.
Make it contemporary, and so that people can identify.
No, I can see why, you touch on quite a few hot topics. And we were talking off mic briefly about creating that layered effect in how you tell a story. And I have a similar experience with my debut novel, When the Filter Fades. At first blush, you could read it as a beach read. But I use that as a device to draw the reader in and speak about various kind of topics and important issues within South Africa. And you tend to do the same in this book. Now, this book is not even 250 pages, but the amount of plot you pack in, not only plot, but those hot topics as we're discussing. There's casteism, there's colorism, there's classism, there's the role of women, there's multi-generational families. So much is said, but not said in this book. How did you go about layering this delicious cake?
Oh, that's difficult to say. I like when we were offline, we spoke about intuition. And I mean, like every chapter was intuitively written out. I would go for walks and I would think what needs to come next. And as a vision would go through my head, and I would just go for it. In retrospect, I think before this book was in its form, in the earlier drafts, it was way more complex, actually, and a little too harsh. And I was fortunate enough to have a very strict mentor who kind of said, look, you got to tone it down a bit, you got to actually streamline it in a way, focus on less, So I think it's maybe that's what it was. Coming from this very complex plot, very complex story, and going backwards and unlayering it, that helped it, in the current form where it's a bit of a light read, like you said, but then he still has those layers.
No, the themes are theming in this book, okay? They really are. Let's delve some more into some of the other characters. Like I'm finding it so interesting that so many South African writers are telling kind of multi-generational stories. So they're turning the camera from just the main characters, but also looking at, the lineage, looking at, okay, what are some of the starting points for some of these behaviors or some of these issues. And you quite sensitively tell the stories of the mothers in the story as well. Why was it important for you to not only look at Aadil and Tasneem, but also look at Razia and Fatima?
Because I think characters in a book are so similar to, we're trying to make them realistic, right? They me. And we come with a history, we come with a past, we come with family. And it's so important to understand why we are the way that we are. We are not separate from our generational histories.
Yeah.
And, for me to just focus on the main characters without giving people a glimpse of where they've come from, what's informing my characters' decisions, why is there a need for Tasneem to break free from her family? Because, hey, she's got this mother who's really difficult.
Yes.
And this is now 2025, and we need to step into the new world, the new way of doing things. And so that for me, and I really, really wanted to explore the issues that we have as a community with the traditions, in what way traditions hold us back, and in what ways does it help us, because there's certain parts of tradition that maybe helps us with our identity, gives us some structure, but how much of it is toxic and how much of it is helpful. And I wanted to just explore that a bit more.
Yeah, I thought that was done so in such a lovely way. And I think you really gave us the tools to empathize with the mothers as well, because you're right. Sometimes I was like, girl, I was like, Fatima, back off, the projection, that I don't want her to make the same mistakes I made, those kinds of things, right? And the control that both of them tried to levy upon their kids. But I think you gave us the tools to really empathize with them and see the world through their eyes. So thank you for that. One of the things that I think is also quite important in this book is the fact that Tasneem gets to have a mentor, a listening ear outside of her family. There's Auntie Mariam. Tell us about that relationship.
So that was actually such an add-on at the end. It's not even funny, because the Mariam was supposed to be, I was actually told by my mentor, I would like to see an older woman, that contrasts this mother figure. Is it possible? And then I started, I remembered, because I'm just thinking of how did Mariam come about? And she came about because there was this video that had popped up on my feed about a cat that got stuck in the pipes, and it was a rescue mission. And I was like, I don't know how this is. And I'm like, okay, but I can picture this old woman with this personality trying to rescue a cat, and that's how she was born. And I said, why don't I insert a bit of my mom into Mariam?
Okay.
Because the modern woman, the way that my mom's personality is more open, and I said, so I think I drew a lot on my mom in that sense.
Okay, that's so beautiful, because she tells us about her own love story, about her own life, basically. And again, the contrast between the strictness of Fatima and Razia and someone who is more kind of, girl, you need to live your life. And coming from a woman who is so much older than the mothers in the story, that was very beautiful to see. Okay, now let's go into Aadil.
Yes.
Crisis after crisis after crisis after crisis.
And my favorite character, actually.
Really?
Yes.
Tell us why. Why is he your favorite character?
Because I think I began with Aadil.
Okay.
So I began with Aadil and his secret. that was my foundation of this book, actually. I was very interested in this secret, which is, I think for the context here, we should say it's the illness.
Yes.
And I had a domestic care, a helper that was actually in a lot of difficulty. Her son had been diagnosed with this illness, and I empathized, and I actually wanted to know what it felt like, what would it feel like if I had to be in this situation. And then I began questioning, what would society say? My community say, in particular, about an illness that has stigma attached to it. So Aadil was born from that, And then I said, well, as a woman, how would I respond to a man who came to me and said to me, I'm ill, And yeah, I absolutely love, when I think about the book, I actually think of Aadil more than I do Tasneem.
Okay.
Which is so strange, yes.
Because I'm like, I don't know how to feel about him. Because I'm like, some of his, let's call it spontaneity, some of his frankly irrational behavior, but in romance you have to have those miscommunications. Yes. And I think it's there obviously as a plot device, but I'm just going to say as a reader, it was so frustrating because I'm like, just talk to one another.
Yeah.
so that kind of spontaneity that he had, that kind of irrationality, instead of going to Tasneem directly and being open and honest, I just wanted to throw something at him. So I just want to let you know that I have a lot of frustration associated with him because I'm like, man, we could have been so great. Great.
But men in general, I mean, I think I drew on my experience with men.
Yeah.
That they generally are not upfront and
True.
They are not honest and they don't, and maybe it's just my experience with Indian men. So it's always a secret men in the past or lurking, somewhere in the shadows. And I am yet to really meet an Indian man who's upfront in saying to me, listen, Nadia, this is who I am. This is my baggage. Take it or leave it or whatever. I'm that type of person. I'm like, this is who I am. This is my history. I come with 2 kids and you can either accept me or not.
Yeah.
So I think for me, he's realistic because this is, like I said, the kind of people I've come across. Yeah.
He's, again, the frustration for me comes from the fact that if I were to lay it out on paper, he has so much going for him, And I think he also goes through quite a growth journey throughout this book, both of them, but Aadil especially. Like he's maturing throughout the book is really incredible to see. And I hate it for him that it had to take crisis after crisis after crisis for him to get there, And then obviously he is enabled by the world's ultimate boy mom.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
My boy could never do anything wrong. My boy is the ultimate catch. I will do anything for him. Let's talk about that dynamic, the mother-son dynamic in your community.
That is so realistic. I have met people whose moms, what they call it, the apron strings, tied to the apron strings, or and again, I'm not trying to bring down the Indian community. Yeah. I think that women would identify with the fact that, most of the men that they even married to still have this relationship with their mothers, and it's not necessarily a healthy relationship. Or sometimes the guy actually wants to, like Aadil, he doesn't mind being away from his mother, but the mother is holding on so tightly. And there's also this idea of perfection.
Yes.
This facade of what people, what their golden boys supposed to look like and how perfect they are. I needed to get that across because I have met several mothers who feel that their sons were too good for me. As well. And this I think is my revenge on those moms. No.
You're like, to all the Razias out there.
Exactly. And your son ain't perfect. And auntie, I promise you, there are skeletons in his closet. And the thing is that most of the time the woman will get married and then only discover
all these skeletons.
all these things,
No, I mean, again, okay, you kind of turning me into an Aadil lover because, again, I was 85% there. But, okay, maybe I'm willing to give him the benefit of the doubt, right? Yes. On secrets. Mm-hmm. Let's talk about secrets. Everyone here has a secret. Everyone here is harboring. I think the only person who I can give a pass to is Uncle Farouk. He's the only... He's the only one who I'm like, you know what? You get a pass.
Yeah, you just who you are.
Yes, you just get annoyed by the car, about who's using the car when they shouldn't use the car. I'm willing to give him a pass.
Yes.
Everyone else is sitting on bombshells here.
Yeah.
That idea of people holding on to secrecy, holding on to what they don't want to tell the full truth. They're always going around corners, It reminded me a little bit, and you mentioned when you got to mentioning this author and this book, it was on the tip of my tongue. And when you brought in Jane Austen, I was like, girl, we are also at 250 years since the birth of Jane Austen. And I'm on a bit of an Austen kick myself at the moment. Would you say Jane Austen has been an inspiration in putting together this kind of the way the community interacts, the secrets they keep, the what is said and what is unsaid?
Oh, definitely. I mean, she's like my literary heroine because she explores character in such a way, that is still relevant today. I mean, we can still see our Emmas and Darcys and in people,
Yes.
And I think... But it was done unconsciously. It's strange because my bio on Instagram says inspired by Jane Austen. And afterwards I was like, hey, that is kind of true. I think I always said I want to explore character in my writing through dialogue, mostly through dialogue. And because that's what Jane Austen does. I mean, you get a vision of her society, of the kind of people that she's interacting with just through dialogue. She seldom and rarely describes things. I don't know if you've seen that, kind of picked it up. But I just find it so fascinating. I love the way that she can, and like you said, secrets, her characters all have secrets, but it's subtly brought to the reader's attention, what is the secret? Because we don't get this big fat backstory with her. It's all happening in the now. And she kind of weaves it in through conversations.
No, I definitely can see that inspiration through the book. And again, I think it's such a, when you're that specific, when you're focused on a community, it's so good to have those little nuggets, who pass the parcel. Because there were a few times in the book when I thought, oh, this is when the secret's coming out. And then you faked me. And I'm like, okay, the next time, it's like, this is when the secret's coming out. No, still not. And then when kind of the big reveal happens around the table, I was so shocked by that because you'd faked me out twice, Speaking about a big table, food is all the way in and through this book. Everything from what is being cooked in the house, Tasneem's aversion to fried onions, everyone's secret recipe, all the way to even your description of the cousins going out for a coffee. There's food everywhere.
Yeah.
This book is delicious on many levels.
I'm Indian, man, and everything is about food. In our homes, we brought up with food becomes the language, the love language, the every language, you know. And I love food myself. So, and I think when I interact with people, I observe, what they choose to eat and what it smells like and that sort of thing. So I try to bring that into the book, because like I said, food is the thing that brings us together.
Yeah.
And bring your characters around food and people can relate a bit more.
Yeah. No, definitely. again, when that big confrontation happens, it's over a dinner table, it's over a lunch table, and everyone goes into like high panic. That's one element of it. There was another element about feeling shame for getting takeout on a Saturday.
Yeah.
I was like, can we erase Auntie?
But it's true, I'm just thinking of aunties that I know would feel ashamed because it's a big deal to make family meals and people have guests over, eating at your table to show that you've put in effort and that sort of thing. And I think it's still there in the older generation that we do take out when no one's looking.
It's another dirty little secret.
Yeah, because we must cut those tomatoes, from scratch. We're not allowed to buy those tin tomatoes, and this ginger garlic masala that we make, it must be stemmed.
Yeah,
it cannot be bought from the store. That's cheating. And I think that's the older generation, the way that they think around food. We are like the easy stuff, marinated stuff from the butcher. Just put that in the oven, and I think I needed to bring that up as a contrast, another generational contrast. Yeah.
There's even a sense of forgiveness through food. We have that sweet gesture where Razia, again, with her golden boy, after a big bust up, they start mending their relationship through a simple lunchbox and a bottle of water, So even food as a way of caring for one another, we see that throughout the book. And I thought that was beautiful. That was really lovely and made me hungry as I was reading it. And obviously we are in studio, but we also have this fantastic plate in front of us. So I'm wondering, let's first talk about what are your favorites. What are your non-negotiables when it comes to samosas? What is your favorite filling and what is your least favorite filling? This is the real controversial question.
Ooh. I'm more of a cheese and corn samosa.
Okay, because I came here about to say cheese and corn, and I thought I was going to be judged for cheese and corn.
No, and yet I make a judgment there about potato samosas, right? No, I'm a cheese and corn person with samosas. I'm glad we share something.
No, I'm a cheese and corn girl too. I don't even eat corn in real life.
Yes, me too.
Oh my God. A woman of taste. A woman of taste. And then when you're dipping, what is the sauce? Are you going hot or are you going just kind of mild spicy? Like what are we dipping?
I like a hot one. Yeah, a tomato-based one. Definitely, yeah.
Okay, shall we try? What do we have on the plate? Does anyone know, or are we just going to be in for a surprise?
I think this one is chicken, and that one there is the cheese, right?
Okay, so I'm going to go for cheese. I love, again, in real life, you will never find me eating corn. You will always find me eating chicken. But I don't like chicken inside of a pastry. I don't understand.
We must break this thing up and check.
Yeah, let's have a look.
Because we do not want to make a mistake. Okay.
You can go for it. And what are your kind of...
Oh, this is, thank goodness.
Oh,
this out. This is your cheese and...
And what are kind of your least favorite meals? Like, let's talk about the ones where even if you're trying to be the politest person and the auntie puts something in front of you, you're going to be like...
Oh, hands down liver. Oh, hands down. My gran used to make that. And no matter how often she tried to make me enjoy that thing, I was like, no, no, the texture, no. But the only one I can probably handle, I think, is the Nando's. If they make the Nando's tune, that's the only one because it's so drenched in sauce that
you can
kind of forget
the taste. I get you.
And you?
I don't think there's a food I don't eat.
Oh, really?
I don't think there's a food I don't eat. I love food, which is why, again, I noticed it so much in this book. So, again, I have preferences, what I like more than others. But, girl, if you're going to put a plate in front of me, I'm going to eat.
You'll be the perfect person to be and come dine with me, I say then.
Except I can't cook.
Okay, not good.
Okay, let's have a taste. Let's cheers first. Cheers to you. Let's dip.
Yeah, the hot one, right?
Yeah. And let's see if we can survive this. Sorry for the crunch to the listeners.
That's good.
So you said you have never participated in a samoosa run.
No, I don't think I would ever have allowed my parents to do that to me. But I've always been a romantic at heart, where I'm like, I want to meet somebody my own way and on my own terms. That has not really turned out very well for me. But I mean, I've met people who have actually gone down this path and have actually still married, But I'd still choose my own path and learning, making my own mistakes. Yeah.
There's a moment where Tasneem questions whether, because her first marriage was her going against her parents' wishes, marrying for love in a very kind of modern, unconventional way. Her mother obviously sees it as going behind her back.
Yeah.
And there is a moment where she questions whether she should have given her parents' methodology a try.
Yes.
She wonders, maybe if I had listened to them, maybe if I had played the role of the dutiful daughter, things would have worked out better. Did you ever have a moment of thinking like that?
I think my moment was, why didn't I listen to myself more before I got married? Because I had these moments where I was wondering if this was the right decision. So I never ever had parents who told me, don't do this, But I wanted to bring that up also in the book, because there are moments where we doubt.
Yeah.
And maybe we don't trust our own judgment. And we'll have doubts also. Maybe somebody's said something. Like in my case with my ex, I had people telling me before I got married, are you sure this is the right person? Or I've heard this, or whatever it is, or that about the person. And I just, being all rose-colored glasses and all, said, I'll just, we have this idea that we can change people. And we can get married and they'll change because they love us so much. Oh, what nonsense.
The romantic.
Whoever they are is who they are. And then that is the difficult lesson. But I got married very young. So,
well, in the end, she found exactly what she's been looking for.
Yes.
That is how you wrap it up with Tasneem, where she, again, in an unconventional love story, her choices are not necessarily what we would think a romantic heroine takes. Again, is that something that you were quite intentional about setting up?
Yes. I think, but the regional ending of this book was far more complex, But I think with Tasneem's character, because I would choose that ending for myself. So I had to put that there. It's like a modern take.
No, this book is nothing short of delightful, absolutely delightful. Like, I can't think of a better word than delightful.
Thank you.
And I would encourage everyone to go and just buy this book, jump into the world of Tasneem and Aadil and their family members and their crazy adventures, and understand a fantastic slice of life. Thank you so much, Nadia, for giving us this book.
Thank you, Janine. This has been absolutely wonderful.
Such a pleasure. Cheers.